Hi, it's Lou from Christian Faith and Fiction. Today I'm going to share with you the Christian fiction books that I could find that are releasing in October 2022. I'm just about getting over COVID now. I've still got the cough, so it's going to be interesting today, just a sort of experiment to see how far I can get through without going into too much of a coughing fit. Talking does set it off a bit, so I have a feeling I'll be editing quite a bit after this. I've got my mug of tea, and hopefully that's going to help a bit with the hot drink. If you notice, I might end up doing this in parts and filming in parts on several days, so if there's an outfit change, that's why. We are in the process of going through national mourning, so I've been watching a lot of the coverage of the royal family and the queues, the massive queues in London. So yeah, that's been it's quite emotional, quite reflective time at the moment, and obviously I've been getting over COVID as well. So I feel much better. I feel like I've got a lot of my energy back now, as much as I have with my underlying health conditions, and it didn't take as long as I thought it might do, but I still have the cough, which is quite annoying, but God will give me the grace to keep going, and hopefully not to cough too much. Okay, so I've split the books as always into different genres, and I'll just read out the first part of the description for you. If you want to read the whole description, I'll leave a link to the blog post that I've created with the Goodreads links down in the description below. And also, if you've missed any previous these videos, I'll leave a link to a playlist of new Christian fiction releases, and you'll have loads of suggestions of different books there if you haven't seen them already. Right, let's have a look and see what we've got. Right, so first in Mystery and Suspense, on the 1st of October, Barber are publishing Dog Days of Summer by Kathleen Ibarbo. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that properly. This is the third book, I think. Second book in the Gone to the Dogs series. Trina Potter, Nashville country music star, buys a ranch near her hometown in Brenham, Texas, to help her niece open a rescue facility for dogs. Her presence in town stirs up some old high school rivalries and romance. Finding property to buy is a challenge. Convincing her mother to move there with her is daunting, and navigating a string of strange accidents is perplexing. Body of Evidence by Irene Hannon releases on the 4th of October, and this is the third book in the Triple Threat series, and it's published by Revell. Forensic pathologist Grace Riley has seen her share of unusual deaths in rural Missouri, but when she begins to notice a curious pattern in autopsies of elderly residents whose demise appears to be natural, she takes her concerns to Sheriff Nate Cox. Nate is sceptical about the link Grace is seeing between the deaths and her suspicions of foul play, but her persistence is compelling. Once she fully convinces him, her theory is credible, and they join forces to investigate. Danger follows. Word of Honour by Halle Bridgeman releases on the 4th of October. This is Love and Honour Book 2, and it's published by Revell as well. FBI Special Agent Linda Cutler is investigating an eco-terrorist organisation in the Alaskan wilderness when her partner is taken captive and murdered before her very eyes. The only person who can identify the key players, Linda gets assigned to take part in a joint operation in Istanbul to take the organisation down. Concrete Evidence by DiAnn Mills releases on the 4th of October, and this is published by Tyndale. On the family's Brazos River Ranch in Texas, Avery Elliott helps run her grandfather's commercial construction business. Raised by Senator Elliott, Avery has never doubted her grandfather is the man of integrity and faith she's always believed him to be, until the day she finds him standing with a gun over the body of a dead man. To make matters worse, Avery's just discovered a billing discrepancy for materials supposedly purchased for construction of the Lago de Cobre Dam. The Premonition at Withers Farm by Jaime Jo Wright releases on the 11th of October, and this is published by Bethany House. In 1910 Michigan, Pearliet Van Hilton is a self-proclaimed rural healer, leaving the local doctor George Wozniak convinced she practices quackery. It doesn't help that her mother, Mary Beth Van Hilton, is a spiritualist who regularly offers her services to help others speak to their dearly departed. But when Pearliet is targeted by a superstitious killer, she relies on both George and an intriguing newcomer for help. In the present day, life has not developed the way Molly Wozniak dreamed. Facing depression after multiple miscarriages, Molly is adapting to her husband's purchase of a new farm. There are some interesting topics covered in that one, so maybe you want to have a look through the description if it sounds like it might be a bit triggering for you. In historical fiction, Mary by Shannon McNear is book 2 in the Daughters of the Lost Colony series. This is published by Barber and it releases on the 1st of October. Sparks fly between Mashanique, free-spirited daughter of Manteo, and Georgie Howe, whose father was brutally murdered by undiscovered native warriors before they'd been on Roanoke Island a full week. As Georgie struggles to make sense of his life and to accept that not all they call savage are guilty of his father's death, Mashanique grapples with her own questions about who Manteo has become. As tentative friendship becomes more forged in the fire of calamity and attack upon their community, both must decide whether the one true God is indeed who he claims to be and whether he is worthy of their trust. The Lost Melody by Joanna Davidson Politano releases on the 4th of October and this is published by Revell. When concert pianist Vivian Mordaunt's father dies, he leaves to her the care of an adult ward she knew nothing about. The woman is supposedly a patient at Hurstwell Asylum. The woman's portrait is shockingly familiar to Vivian, so when the asylum claims she was never a patient there, Vivian is compelled to discover what happened to the figure she remembers from childhood dreams. Under the Starry Skies by Tracie Peterson releases on the 4th of October. This is book 3 in the series Love on the Santa Fe and is published by Bethany House. Sensible and independent, Cassandra Barton never anticipated being on her own at 32, but after the death of her father and the marriage of her sister, she's found joy in her work as a seamstress. When a minor accident leaves her incapacitated, she decides to use her time to compile a book of stories about the men working on the Santa Fe Railroad. But worry begins to grow in San Marcial as Mexican revolutionaries set out to destroy the railroad and put many lives in danger. The Secrets of Emberwild by Stephenia H. McGee releases on the 4th of October and it's published by Revell. A gifted trainer in a time women are not allowed to race, Nora Fenton prefers horses to men. They're easier to handle, they're more reliable, and they never tell her what to do. After her father's passing, Nora is determined to save her struggling horse farm, starting with entering her prize colt into the harness races at the 1905 Mississippi Fair. If she wins, she may have a chance at independence, but when a stranger arrives and starts asking disconcerting questions, she suspects he may have other motives than unseating her in the training job that is rightfully hers. Within These Gilded Halls by Abigail Wilson releases on the 4th of October. This is published by Thomas Nelson. I've read 2 of her books and I would say they are more closer to clean fiction than Christian fiction, but nevertheless they are listed as Christian fiction. After studying art for 2 years under Miss Drake, a renowned painter, Phoebe Radcliffe is certain she can finally move beyond the childish mistake that's kept her away from home. She is determined to carve a new, happier future and is thrilled when Miss Drake employs her to complete a complicated ballroom renovation, the first real test of her talent. Everything changes, however, the moment Miss Drake is murdered. Falling for the Cowgirl by Jody Hedlund releases on the 11th of October, and this is book 4 in the Colorado Cowboys series, and it's published by Bethany House. As the only girl in her family, and with 4 older brothers, Ivy McQuaid can rope and ride with the roughest of ranchers. She's ready to have what she's always longed for, a home of her own. She's set her heart on a parcel of land south of Fairplay and is saving for it with her winnings from the cowhand competition she sneaks into. After 2 years away, Jericho Bliss is back in South Park as an undercover Pinkerton agent searching for a war criminal. He has no intention of involving a woman in the dangerous life he leads, but one look at Ivy is all it takes for him to question the path he set out for himself. A Model of Devotion by Mary Connealy releases on the 11th of October. This is in the Lumber Baron's Daughters series, and it's published by Bethany House. A brilliant engineer, Jilly Stiles has been educated since childhood to help her run her father's dynasty. Now, with the company safe after the marriages of her two sisters, Jilly can focus on her dream of building a mountaintop road and never marry. Nick Ryder came into Jilly's life when he saved her mother from her no-good stepfather, and he's prepared to protect Jilly from anything that threatens to harm her. In contemporary fiction, Where the Blue Sky Begins by Katie Powner releases on the 11th of October, and this is published by Bethany House. After an accident brings businessmen Eric Larson and eccentric Eunice Parker together, the unlikely pair spend more time with each other than they would like while facing challenges beyond what they imagined. As Eunice comes to accept her terminal illness, they both wrestle with an important question: what matters most when the end is near? In fantasy and sci-fi, Dream of Kings by Sharon Hinck releases on the 11th of October, and this is published by Enclave. In the glacial nation of Norgard, Yolan, the dream teller, serves every seeker, whether peasant or high lord. Though she loves using her gift, she struggles to navigate the corrupt and dangerous court and the jealousies of the Gildegard. When an old man's nightmare imparts a dire warning, Yolan, it could be Jolan, realizes her entire nation is in danger. But before she can sound the alarm, she is betrayed by the guilds and sold into slavery in a rival kingdom far to the south. As a slave in a foreign land, at first Yolan can't see beyond her singular focus, return home to warn Norgard of the coming calamity. After facing new dangers, making new friends, and forgiving old wrongs, she must fulfill the purposes the provider has set before her. I don't know why, but that reminds me of the story of Joseph in the Bible. And finally, in romance, there's a few kind of Christmassy books, I think, coming out. On the Way to Christmas by Sheila Roberts, Melissa Ferguson and Amy Clipston releases on the 11th of October. This is published by Thomas Nelson. It's listed as clean fiction on Amazon, so I'm not expecting any Christian content. Between Thanksgiving and Christmas, anything can happen. In this glittering and heartwarming collection, 3 of today's best-selling sweet romance novelists offer up the gift of cheer for the winter holiday season. So, Christmas Do-Over by Sheila Roberts. Darby doesn't want to go home for the holidays, but a career fail sends her slinking back to the small town she always wanted to escape. Dashing Through the Snow by Melissa Ferguson. When Willow's boyfriend of 7 years dumps her on the eve of a romantic getaway, she decides to take the 2-week train trip on the Christmas Express alone. And A Perfectly Splendid Christmas by Amy Clipston. Casey adores the metropolitan life, but when she gets away to help her sister during a family crisis and run her bakery, she falls in love with the former classmate Drew. And then House Calls for the Holidays by Pat Simmons releases on the 11th of October. Chase McCall couldn't have survived the holidays without her petite golden doodle. She named him Dr. Avery because he healed her broken heart after a bad breakup. She plans to spend the holidays on the road away from St. Louis with her pooch in tow. Sawyer Cahill needs a fresh start, so he relocates to Raleigh, working in the IT field. He's enjoying life until his aunt has a health scare back in St. Louis. And finally, there are 2 collections that are coming out, I think maybe just on ebook, but when I bought them, they were only like 89p each, something like 99 cents. I'm not sure when you see this what the price will be, but they are volume 1 and 2 Keeping Christmas, and they released on the 4th and the 18th of October. And I think each one has got maybe 5 novellas. They're all Christmas themed, and I think they've got a theme around castles. They're different genres, so some of them are, well, we'll see as we go through. So the Lights, in volume 1, The Lights of Castleborn by Cathy Swanson and Sheltona Havig. He bowled her over at first sight, his dog that is. Sydney just wanted a chance to do the landscape design at Castleborn. She never dreamed the owner's electrician would light up her heart at Christmas. The Girl from Dalarna by Olivia Talbot. She's the most beautiful woman in Sweden, but she doesn't want to be. A simple life among milk cows is all she desires. Will a scandal upend her plans and ruin her chances for love? The Cross at Morioka Castle by Kathleen J. Robertson. In the ancient land of shoji, screens and tatami mats, Ariko finds the stone ruins of Morioka Castle and the mysterious cross that holds the secret of a Christian faith extending far deeper than Ariko ever imagined. I think I probably pronounced all that slightly wrong, but never mind. The Ghost of Christmas by Denise L. Barella. Abigail needs to get away for Christmas this year. No family, no questions about why she's still single, no suggestion about being set up with someone's friend. Crystal Clear by Marguerite Martin Gray. Rosalind's muddied past and foggy future crystallise in Chateau Chenonceau, a refuge from gossip and more. Watch as the chateau and Christmas work their magic and break the bonds of propriety, and rejoice as Rosalind experiences the crystal clear hints of peace, joy and hope all around her. And The Weary World Rejoices by Naomi Craig. Behind the elaborate furnishings of Herod the Great's palace, conspiracy and distrust run rampant. Mysterious visitors from the east challenge everything Amal thinks he knows as palace scribe. So that one's a biblical fiction. So that's volume 1. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And they're either, I think they're novellas and not just short stories, but I'm not sure. And in volume 2, there are Escape to Greenaway by Sheltona Havig. She just wanted to escape another holly jolly family holiday, because snowboard in a castle B&B with one of Santa's elves, or as good as, is so much better. The King's Promise by Tabitha Baldwin. In a world of airships and kings, a prince makes a promise that tears him away from his love. An ordinary baker's daughter finds herself caught in the middle of a game where the winner earns the Queen's crown. A Castle for Christmas by Susan K. Beattie. Sadie Foster abhors wealth. Will Randolph, on the other hand, work for the uber-wealthy owner of an over-the-top castle on the California coast, Sadie's father. An Irish Christmas Heart by Jennifer Syens. Will she choose love or an arranged marriage? In the midst of post-famine unrest, Eleanor Blake, daughter of an English nobleman, is thrown into the maelstrom of emotions. Christmas at Curwood's Castle by Melissa Wardwell. A Christmas party at Curwood Castle should have been Angel Davis' Cinderella moment, especially when her dear friend Jimmy arrives. And Christmas in the Cotswolds by Stacey T. Simmons. She's a paleontologist and ardent Jane Austen fan. He's enmeshed in the exactitude of mathematics. Can they find common ground? Now, I know some of these definitely write Christian fiction. I'm not totally sure about all of them because I haven't read all of them, books from all of them. So it could be a mixture. It could be just clean fiction. I'm imagining if it's a compilation that it will be clean. That, you know, if you're a Christian writer, that you wouldn't join with other writers that don't write clean. I don't know. Can't tell, but it's pretty cheap. At least when I just bought it, it was cheap. So there's that one. So guys, we made it to the end of that list. I made it nearly to the end of my cup of tea, and my voice is a little bit husky, but we got there in the end in one go, so that's pretty good. I didn't have to stop too many times to cough. It's all good. Let me know in the comments if any of those books sound interesting to you or ones that you would pick up in the future. Thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed or liked or commented or shared my videos. I do appreciate that. It's very encouraging me to keep going. I hope that you're all doing well and you have a really great reading week this week. Until next time, God bless. Bye. Body of Evidence by... Oh dear. After... Oh, the light's just gone out. In contemporary fiction,